Hello everyone, it's Oz here. I just wanted to let you know that at the end of this video, I'll be going over a few things. So if you're interested in where I've been and what I've been up to the past year, stick around after the end. Otherwise, enjoy the show guys. Much love. The world of gaming has always been a huge part of my life, especially that of role-playing games. And with an invested interest in Lovecraftian fiction, it's not unexpected that the two would eventually meet. Horror and gaming have had a long history, dating back to the early 1970s, and with the many releases from then to now, it shouldn't be a surprise that we have so many games with Lovecraftian inspirations. But that's a subject I'll be covering in a later video. For now, I want to look at the companies Chaosium and Fantasy Flight Games. More specifically, Arkham Horror. Chaosium have always had a foothold when it comes to role-playing games, with their many games featuring many different settings over the years. The fantasy epic of RuneQuest in 1978, the Arthurian legend of Pendragon in 1985, and the swashbuckling themes of 7th Sea in 1999. But none of these have been as impactful as 1981's Call of Cthulhu, with this first glimpse into a world of unknown horrors waiting to be discovered. Seeing this success with the Lovecraftian themes, we'd get a more focused game 6 years later, with the release of the first edition of Arkham Horror the board game. Originally submitted by Richard Launius as Call of Cthulhu the board game, along with several other Lovecraftian games, Arkham Horror would be the only one to see publication after being edited in-house by Chaosium. It would be an immediate hit with audiences, winning the Best Fantasy or Sci-Fi Board Game of 1987 in the Origins Awards. After the original print sold out, there would be several announcements for re-releases, but these never came, and in 1991, Chaosium would discontinue work on Arkham Horror. It would be over a decade before we would see the next step forward when the online gaming company Scotus, who had previously worked with Chaosium to bring Lovecraft Country Arkham by Night, would acquire the rights to Arkham Horror from Launius. Over the following years, the combined efforts of Launius, Scotus, and the game publishing company Fantasy Flight Games would bring to life a new era for Arkham Horror, releasing the second edition in 2005. Over the next 2 decades, we'd see more progress than ever before, with many expansions, a third edition in 2018, a series of novels, and even a video game, with Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace. But none of these have caught my attention like my personal favourite, Arkham Horror the Living Card Game. Arkham Horror is going to be one of the longer running series on my channel, covering the card game, the books, the backstories of the investigators, and the world it's all set in. But I think with that being said, the best place to start would be to explain what exactly Arkham Horror is, and what makes it so special. Over the years, Fantasy Flight Games have released a multitude of games set in the world of the Cthulhu mythos, with role-playing being heavily featured to some degree or another. For instance, their recent board game, Unfathomable, takes the murder mystery approach in a cooperative play format, much like the Cluedo-style games that came before, with the human characters working towards one goal while the traitor hides among them, working to their own agenda. The Arkham Horror LCG takes these role-playing elements to a whole new level, with each character having distinct strengths and weaknesses, backstories, and many other characteristics that make them so much more than just a blank canvas for the player to imprint on. Another thing I love about the Arkham Horror games is the level of interactivity you get by just exploring the world, with each location holding secrets to be discovered, encounters to be had, or even traps to be sprung. It makes it so that overlooking something in an earlier scene can have major consequences as you move forward. Now, with a little understanding of the history and interactivity, I'd like to ask the question, what exactly is an LCG? Put simply, it's a role-playing game in a card game format, but there's so much more to it than that. When we think of deck building games, we usually think of things like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hearthstone, or maybe even Gwent from the Witcher franchise. But they all fall under the category of collectible card game. So how are living card games different? Well, collectible card games feature booster packs, relying on luck and community trading in the physical games. Those booster packs also tend to have an extensive list of possible cards you can get per pack, as well as a variety of rarities for said cards. Living card games, on the other hand, make it so you don't have to worry about luck of the draw. instead giving each person access to the same cards with each new expansion. But surely that would limit the options, right? Well, that's not the case. With each expansion, not only do you get access to new cards to work with, but new characters as well. And those new characters come with their own requirements. In a moment, I'll be looking at 2 example characters, but I have a couple of things I want to talk about first. As an experience, Arkham Horror is a role-playing game first and a card game second, with classes, attributes and progression being primary components throughout the game. As such, it's recommended that you try to engage in the role-playing as much as possible when engaging the story. Getting into the mind of your character instead of moving pieces around like a game of chess. The most important thing you should do is learn what drives the character you're playing. Each character has their own personality, backstory, and motivations, all of which will help you understand them on a deeper level, and further your experience with the game. Next, I want to look at the classes. They're a pretty common trope in all RPGs, and are pretty easy to spot in other mediums, often being indicators of the personalities or skill set. In Arkham Horror, I think understanding what each class represents will help you in understanding how to play those characters. This will become more prevalent as I release more Arkham content, but when I look at my examples, you'll see why it's such a big deal. There are 5 main classes in Arkham, with a 6th class being introduced several expansions in. So let's break them down. Guardian, often placed in a leadership role due to their selflessness and willingness to face any threat head-on. Their main attribute is combat, showing their strength of character when brute force is the only way forward. Mystic, where the Guardian's main quality is strength of body, the Mystic's is their strength of mind. They are drawn to or possess arcane talents, manipulating the world around them through their connections with the energies of the universe or secrets long forgotten. Their main attribute is willpower, showing their mental fortitude in the face of adverse terrors. Rogue, criminals, spies, dilettantes. The rogue's talents lie with their ability to escape any situation they find themselves in, either through bribes, trickery, or simply not getting too close to begin with. Their primary attribute is agility, adding to their fox-like cunning when the going gets tough. Seeker, knowledge is power. Seekers know this all too well. Learning about the things they may face will make it easier to deal with when the time comes. They're academics by nature, scientists, investigators, those that dig up every bit of information no matter how obscure. Their primary attribute is intellect. They're the puzzle solvers, the ones who find a way forward no matter how bleak it seems. And survivor. These are the people that have been thrown into a situation through no fault of their own, completely unprepared, but rise to the occasion when their lives are on the line. They're the underdogs, the wild card, and that fits perfectly with their primary attribute, wild. Their potential is only limited by the amount of things nearby. The 6th class is labelled as neutral, but I prefer something like influencer. These are characters of high acclaim, people with followers, political leaders, artists, actors. They use their innate talents to their advantage. With this class being, let's say, underdeveloped, there are other characters I feel would fit this class more appropriately than their original. Now, let's finally look at a couple of characters from 2 different sets, Roland Banks and Daniela Reyes. As we can see, both of these characters are Guardian class. They both have different stats, different abilities, and different deck requirements. That's where the game's variety comes in. And with each character having so many cards they can work with, there are so many possible deck building options. But there's something I wanted to focus on with these 2, specifically Daniela. Roland was the Guardian in the core set, the first Guardian of the game, and because of that, we can use him as a foundation. His requirements are pretty typical for the class, top level Guardian and neutral cards, some Seeker cards, because he's a feral agent. But now, look at Daniela. She's a Guardian class, but can only use the lowest level Guardian cards. Why is that? Well, that's where things like lore factors come in. From her quote, we can see that she's one to take charge. She's strong, she's willful. These are qualities of a Guardian, but being someone who is thrown into a situation without preparation and still rising to the challenge gives her the qualities of a survivor. And that's what the deck requirements show. I will eventually be covering the lore of each character, but I think I've shown the significance of what knowing the character actually means. They go much deeper than surface level, and that's the sort of thing I can't help but love. I'll be honest, this script was an absolute nightmare to write. My initial idea fell through, and with my second, I had some severe writer's block. But no matter how much research I did, I couldn't think of how to make my thoughts coherent. And after 2 rewrites, I can finally say I'm happy. I've been playing card games for such a long time at this point, and Arkham is the only one that has given me everything I've wanted. Yeah, it can be a slow setup, but it's worth it for the gameplay. I'm hoping this video has been a decent introduction for my future Arkham content, and that you, the viewers, can take something from it. If you have any questions or want me to expand on anything specific, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. Hello everyone. I just wanted to quickly thank you all for watching the video, and to anybody who's listening to this, I wanted to thank you for sticking around to hear what I've got to say. This part of the video is not scripted. You know, it's just, I just want to quickly explain where I've been the past couple of years. You know, because I came into this project with whole hopes and this grand idea of releasing a video a week, and as you can see, that's not happened. Well, a lot's been happening, to be honest. I had severe anxiety when recording those original videos because I wasn't very good on camera. You know, I'm just not a camera person, I guess. So I took a break, waiting for artworks, you know, so I can be a PNG YouTuber, as you can see now. And that took a while, you know, getting all these different arts sorted, and then I had to consider a lot of other different things. I started streaming, you know, so you can find me over on Twitch. Yeah, that's been taking up a lot of time recently. I got into streaming. I've been working on other projects. Since I released those first videos, I have had a lot of mental health struggles and, you know, emotional struggles, which also kept me down a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, it's mostly a thing of I've been working on other projects. I've been working on streaming. I've been trying to find a way to get back into YouTube. You know, but it's just been difficult for me, to be honest. It's just been really difficult. But here I am now. You know, I'm back, and I need to get back to scripting properly. You know, I need to work on getting back to the former level I was. But yeah, thank you for coming by, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all in. Much love.